If you're an older man drawn to younger women, there's one mistake that will destroy your chances before they even start. It's not about money, looks, or confidence, it's about how you handle the space between you. Most older men think the fastest way to connect is to blur the lines immediately, to act young, talk young, and push the energy too far, too soon. But here's the truth, the moment you chase physical validation too quickly, you've already lost her respect. I've seen men sabotage themselves in the first hour, leaning in too close, touching before trust is there, trying to prove they can still compete with men her age. It doesn't make you seem bold, it makes you seem desperate. And once she feels that, you can't undo it. Because younger women don't want you to be their age, they want you to be something their age can't give them. Younger women are drawn to older men for one main reason: the energy you bring is different from the boys they're used to. It's calmer, more certain, less desperate for approval. When you throw that away by trying to impress her with fast moves or over-the-top flirting, you strip away the very thing that makes you attractive. Instead of thinking, "This man is in control," she starts thinking, "He's just like the others." I knew an older man who went on a date with a woman 15 years younger. She told me later, at first, he was magnetic, but by the end of the night, he was competing with guys my age. That's when the attraction died. Your power isn't in chasing her. It's in letting her feel she has to rise up to meet you, not the other way around. The first sign you're slipping into the danger zone is when you start overinvesting too soon. Texting her constantly, filling every silence with compliments, rearranging your entire schedule just to fit hers. It feels like you're showing interest, but to her, it feels like you're putting her on a pedestal she hasn't earned yet. Younger women can sense when a man's center of gravity shifts away from his own life and onto her. And the moment she feels that imbalance, the excitement starts to fade. One younger woman once told me, "At first, I loved how confident he was, but when he started acting like I was the center of his world, I lost the thrill. I wanted a man who had a world I could step into, not one who abandoned it for me." That's the first silent killer of attraction, and most men never see it coming. The second mistake older men make? Trying to match her energy instead of leading it. Younger women will sometimes test you with high-energy flirting, teasing, or even playful provocation. If you try to keep up by acting like you're in your 20s, you've already failed the test. Why? Because she's not looking for a peer, she's looking for polarity. She wants the grounded, steady presence that makes her feel safe to let her feminine energy flow. I knew a man in his late 40s who started dating a 26-year-old. She would joke, dance, and push him to act silly. The moment he did, she lost interest. Later, she told me, "I liked him because he was different. When he started acting like a boy, I realized I didn't need him." Your role isn't to follow her lead, it's to set the tone she wants to step into. The third and most dangerous trap is moving into physical territory before you've built emotional gravity. Yes, younger women might flirt, touch your arm, or drop hints that seem physical, but that doesn't mean they're ready for you to act on it. In fact, the fastest way to make her lose interest is to make your desire the center of the interaction too early. Think about it. If she can feel you're chasing the physical first, she'll assume that's all you want. And once she puts you in that category, there's no coming back. One younger woman told me, "When he didn't rush it, I trusted him more, and it made me want him more." When a man is patient, it makes every moment feel more charged. Restraint isn't weakness. It's the proof that you're in control of yourself, and that's exactly what draws her closer. Here's something most older men don't realize: with younger women, the anticipation is the attraction. The slower you let things build, the more her imagination fills in the gaps. And trust me, her imagination will always paint a more powerful picture than anything you could rush into. I knew a man who spent weeks just building connection through conversation, shared moments, and subtle touches. By the time they finally crossed that line, she was already deeply invested, not just in the chemistry, but in him as a person. You see, younger women are used to men rushing in, hoping for instant gratification. When you're the one man who doesn't, you stand out in her mind. Because in her world, patience isn't boring, it's magnetic. Another mistake older men make is turning the dynamic into a mentorship too soon. Yes, you have more life experience, and yes, she might even look up to you for guidance, but if you start treating her like a student instead of a woman, you'll kill the attraction instantly. I've seen it happen. An older man starts giving life lessons over dinner, correcting her choices, or explaining every topic like he's lecturing. Instead of feeling intrigued, she starts feeling like she's on a date with a teacher, and no, not in the fun fantasy way. One younger woman told me, I wanted him to be my lover, not my life coach. The moment he started treating me like a project, the spark died. Share your wisdom, yes, but do it through stories, experiences, and presence, not by talking down to her. She wants a partner she can learn from, not a supervisor. Here's a subtle trap that even confident older men fall into: overcompensating with material generosity. Buying expensive gifts too soon, taking her to lavish dinners right away, or showing off what you can afford. It might feel like you're impressing her, but often, it sends the wrong message. Younger women aren't blind, they know when a man is using his wallet to replace genuine connection. And if she starts to believe that's your main value, she'll either lose interest, or stay for the wrong reasons. I knew an older man who took a younger woman on a luxury weekend getaway after just 2 dates. She enjoyed it, but later admitted, I didn't feel special. I felt like he was just buying an experience he could give to anyone. True attraction isn't built on what you spend, it's built on how you make her feel in your presence, without a single dollar changing hands. Another mistake? Trying to keep her interest by proving you're still young enough. You hit the gym harder than usual, you start dressing like a 25-year-old, you talk about partying or pulling all-nighters. But here's the truth, the moment you start competing with younger men on their terms, you've already lost the one advantage you have: maturity. I remember a 28-year-old woman telling me about a man in his 50s she was seeing. At first, I loved how calm and sure he was, she said. But then he started making these "I'm still young" comments and trying to out-party me. It just felt insecure. Younger women aren't looking for a mirror image of themselves. They're drawn to the contrast, the stability, confidence, and self-assuredness that only comes with time. Lose that, and you blend into the crowd she's already seen 100 times. One more trap older men fall into: letting her beauty put you on the back foot. You see her youth, her energy, the attention she gets, and suddenly, you start treating her like she's out of your league. That shift is deadly, because the moment she senses you feel lucky to have her, the power dynamic flips. I knew a man in his late 40s dating a woman in her mid-20s. At first, he was grounded and playful, but once he started seeing her as this rare prize he needed to hold on to, he began tiptoeing around her, avoiding disagreement, and saying yes to everything. Within weeks, the tension was gone. Here's the truth: attraction isn't built by worshipping her. It's built by valuing yourself so much that you treat her as an equal, not as a goddess you're afraid to lose. Older men also make the mistake of letting the conversation revolve entirely around her world. Yes, you should listen and show genuine curiosity, but if you never bring her into your world, you miss the chance to create depth and intrigue. When every conversation is just you reacting to her stories, she begins to feel like the star of a one-sided show. I once knew a man who spent 3 months dating a younger woman and realized she'd never met any of his friends, never seen where he worked, never even heard about his personal passions. She eventually told him, "It felt like I was dating a stranger who only existed when I was around." The most magnetic older men invite her into a life that's already full and rich. Because the more she experiences your world, the more she wants to be a part of it. Another mistake? Sharing too much about your past relationships, especially the ones with women closer to her age. Some older men think it shows experience or transparency, but to her, it can feel like a comparison she didn't ask for. Even if you mean it as a harmless story, she may start wondering if she's just another younger woman phase for you. I remember a man who casually mentioned his last girlfriend was 24. He thought he was just making conversation, but the woman he was seeing later admitted, "It made me feel like I was just filling the same spot someone else left." You can hint at your experience without cataloging it. Because the truth is, she's more interested in how you see her right now than in who came before. Some older men also underestimate how important emotional challenge is for younger women. If you're too agreeable, too quick to bend, or always trying to keep things smooth, she'll feel the connection is flat. Attraction grows in the push and pull, the moments you stand your ground, tease her playfully, or let her feel she's earning your approval. I once spoke to a woman in her 20s dating a man 18 years older. At first, I admired his confidence, she said. But after a while, it felt like he was afraid to disagree with me. I started to wonder if he was just trying to keep me happy so I wouldn't leave. The truth? Respect comes before romance. If she doesn't respect you, she won't feel that magnetic pull, no matter how much you give her. Another silent attraction killer is neglecting your own life and routines once she's in the picture. Younger women are drawn to older men because they have purpose, structure, and a sense of who they are. If you start skipping workouts, dropping hobbies, or canceling commitments just to spend more time with her, you lose the very edge that caught her attention. I knew a man who loved sailing. It was his weekend ritual. But after meeting a younger woman, he stopped going altogether so he could be available for her. At first, she appreciated the effort, but soon she told him, "I fell for the man who had a life. I don't want to be the reason you lost it." The best way to keep her interest isn't to give her all your time. It's to stay the man whose time is worth earning. Older men sometimes forget that mystery is part of the attraction. If you share every detail about yourself too quickly, your schedule, your routines, your thoughts on every topic, you remove the intrigue that keeps her curious. You become predictable, and predictability kills the spark. I once heard a younger woman say about an older man she dated, "By the second week, I knew exactly what he was doing every day, every weekend." There was nothing to wonder about anymore. She wasn't saying she wanted secrets, she wanted discovery. The most magnetic older men reveal themselves slowly, in layers. They give her space to wonder what's next, and that wondering is often where attraction quietly deepens. Another mistake older men make is letting her set all the boundaries and pace of the relationship. Yes, you should respect her comfort zone, but if you never establish your own, she'll sense you're just following along instead of leading. And leadership, in this context, isn't about control, it's about direction. I knew a man in his 50s dating a woman in her 20s. At first, things were exciting, but he never voiced what he wanted or where he saw things going. Eventually, she said, "It felt like I was steering the whole thing, and I didn't want to be in that role." The truth is, younger women are often attracted to older men because they do have a sense of direction. If you don't show that, you erase one of your biggest advantages. Point 1: subtle but costly mistake? Trying to keep up with her social life. If she's out late with friends, constantly at parties, or always chasing the next event, you don't need to match her pace. When you do, you risk stepping out of the grounded energy that makes you attractive in the first place. I knew a man in his late 40s who started dating a 24-year-old. He began tagging along to her crowded bar nights, loud clubs, and random after-parties, even though he hated that scene. At first, she was flattered, but later she admitted, "It was like he was trying to be my age instead of being himself." You don't attract a younger woman by blending into her world entirely. You attract her by letting her experience yours, and giving her a taste of something different. Another trap? Letting her test your patience, and failing. Younger women, consciously or not, will sometimes push boundaries to see how you handle yourself. Maybe she cancels last minute, takes hours to reply, or teases you about something personal. If you react with frustration or insecurity, you show her you're not as grounded as she thought. I once knew a man in his early 50s who was dating a younger woman. When she started taking longer to respond to texts, he confronted her with a long, emotional message. She pulled back immediately, later saying, "I wanted to see if he'd stay calm, but instead, he overreacted." Your strength isn't shown when everything is easy. It's shown when you can keep your composure, even when she's testing where your limits really are. Older men sometimes forget that attraction thrives on contrast, and they start blending in with her world too much. If you adopt all her slang, dress like her friends, and start sharing every interest she has, you lose the polarity that made you stand out. Instead of being the man who expands her horizons, you become just another familiar figure in her life. I once heard a younger woman say, "I liked that he had his own style, his own taste in music, his own way of speaking. But after a while, he started copying mine, and it wasn't exciting anymore." She doesn't want you to be a reflection of her world. She wants you to be the doorway to a new one she wouldn't have found without you. The final mistake older men make is forgetting that respect comes before desire. You can be charming, generous, even physically attractive, but if she doesn't respect how you carry yourself, the attraction will fade. Respect comes from having boundaries, a life of your own, and the self-control to never chase what isn't freely given. I once spoke to a younger woman who dated a man nearly 20 years older. She said, "I wanted him so much at first, but when he started bending over backwards for me, I couldn't see him the same way. The mystery, the strength, it was gone." The truth is, the most magnetic older men don't try to hold on to younger women by pleasing them endlessly. They keep their edge by staying exactly who they are, and letting her decide if she's willing to rise to meet that.